Here Be Monsters. We need to talk about this game. This is an up-and-coming indie TCG that is just wrapping up a successful Kickstarter campaign, and if you're not aboard yet, now's the time. What I'm holding in my hands here is a free demo deck that you can get from Team Covenant. Just pay shipping. Today, I'm going to walk through the demo deck, talk about my experience so far in playing this game, what I love about it, what sets it apart, and why I think this is one of the most promising TCGs to be hitting the market in a very long time. This is a game that gives me a ton of hope for the future of the genre, and it's a total blast to play. Now, I've sleeved it up, I've made a custom deck box, and we're gonna dive right in. This game has seen a ton of action in my family. I've showed it to many people, and basically everyone's loved it. So we're gonna talk through the basics of what a game of Here Be Monsters looks like, the two different ways you can play, and go from there. So Here Be Monsters is a game where you are racing to find the treasure. The demo deck that you can get comes with an abbreviated deck, 40 cards for use in playing a Renegade format one treasure game. This is their board gamey kind of version of the game where both players use a shared deck and there's a draft system for drawing cards. That's really satisfying. And it's got a very low barrier to entry. So in Here Be Monsters, you have your ship deck and your poop deck. It is literally called a poop deck. This game embraces the humor, sometimes immaturely, and it's wonderful. So in Here Be Monsters, you have 3 ships on your side of the field. And you play, throughout your turn, pirates and shanties. Pirates are permanent cards that attach to your ships. Shanties are kind of like spells, one-turn effect cards that do a thing, and you can also hide them. And they can be like trap cards. So just kind of flipping through the contents of the demo deck, it's mostly pirates. They have, Lobster Tank or Angutan, a number of vanilla cards. And the cards in Here Be Monsters are very simple, right? It's basically a firepower score and an effect. Now these vanilla cards have no effect. You attach them to your ship and they simply add to your firepower total. Now, the goal of the game is to beat your opponent to finding the treasure. You do so using an action system. So the way your turn works is you draw a card at the beginning of your turn, and then you can use your action to play pirates, play shanties, or draw cards, or if at the start of your turn, typically, you meet all the requirements to search for the treasure, you can spend all 3 of the orders that you get on your turn to find the treasure, which starts a race for the treasure and things can get really wild. So the game, that's like basically the rules of the game. It's incredibly simple and intuitive. You're basically just playing pirates. A lot of them have crazy effects. We'll get to that in a minute. And trying to capture the treasure. There's not a lot of phases to the turn. There's no real combat phase. It's really just add up your firepower and go. Now there are cards. A lot of these pirates have very interesting effects. Like Platypirate enables you to free play a pirate, meaning you can play an extra pirate without using an action if it's the first pirate you play on the ship. So you can drop a Platypirate on your Nautiklaw and bring with it, another pirate buddy from your hand. That can be incredibly beneficial in a number of different scenarios in the game. Other pirates that you have, Abyss Battalion, allows you to search for the treasure with a cost of 2 orders, 2 actions, instead of your full 3 actions, which can enable you to do something else first. Very big. Cannon Catcher is well, here we got to talk about the cannons. So Cannon Catcher, if you have them on your ship, can catch a cannonball that comes from your opponent. Now the cannon mechanic is one of the spiciest parts of this game. As you are, going through the game, playing pirates on your ships, if you ever reach a point where on one ship you get full pirates, that ship is, sorry for the glare here, that ship is fully, I'll move these over here, fully crewed. And at that point, you can exhaust said ship to fire your cannons. It can only happen once as long as that ship's on field. And you can blow up one of your opponent's ships entirely. So all of a sudden, Planet Pirate being able to kind of action cheat out another pirate becomes really interesting. When your opponent's ship gets, like if they fire the cannons at this ship, the ship and everything on it would go to your Davy Jones locker, the discard pile. Now, Cannon Catcher is a way you can prevent that. So there's interplay there. As you're building up your field, there's a lot of tension of how quickly you can get a completed ship versus your opponent getting a completed ship. And that's, part of the spice. Moving through more of the cards in the core set here, or in the demo deck, Reef Ronin lets you bounce a pirate, friendly or enemy, from a ship to your hand. Very useful. Mr. Manty. Now we get to talk about the shanties. When you play Mr. Manty on a ship, you can free play a hidden shanty. Now, shanties are the spells of this game. You can play at the cost of an order. You can play a shanty to get its effect immediately. The legendary Octdent, an 8-pointed trident. If you were to play that on a pirate, say Mr. Manty, he would get +8. So the firepower total for him would be 10, right? 8 + 2. But you can also hide it. Play it as a hidden shanty, face down under your pirate. And in doing so, you are able at various points in the game, kind of as a reaction, a la instant speed, you can flip it over and get its effect. So there's hidden information that you can kind of store actions for later. And this is where a lot of the strategy of the game comes in. Building up your ships, getting ready to fire the cannons, hiding trap cards, hidden information that'll mess with the math as the game goes on. It's very, very spicy. Other shanties that you can play, Navy Orders and Mollusk Mania, are cards that can kind of cheat out pirates quickly. Monsoon Force lets you move pirates around. If your opponent is getting close to completing a crew, you can move some of their pirates to other ships and make it less, slow them down a little bit. You can also, and then the Tricorn of Dawn. You can trade control of pirates. So if they play a huge pirate, like something like, where are you at, buddy? The big baddie of the demo deck is a card. What? Did I lose it? The big baddie of the demo deck is a card called Sponge Barbarian. There we are. +11. Big firepower, but you can't play it until there's already 5 pirates at sea. Your opponent plays a Sponge Barbarian on one of their ships. You play Trident of Dawn, Tricorn of Dawn, and trade your, dinky 1-power pirate for their 11-power pirate. And that's the kind of thing that goes on in this game. Things that I love about this game. The simple rules make it incredibly, incredibly easy for people to pick this up. It's just so intuitive. There's no TCG jargon or things that can trip up board game friends or family members. In fact, I have played dozens of games of Here Be Monsters with my kids, and as young as 6 and 7 years old, even 5 years old. And while they may not grasp all of the finer strategy of hiding shanties for, gotcha moments later in the game, they totally get play pirates, numbers go up, fire your cannons, blow up dad's ships, and they love it. And that's enough for a game for a 5 or 6 or 7 year old. But there's so much depth here, even in the demo deck. The ships themselves have abilities, like, getting an extra order if you complete a crew, or treating, the somewhat weak vanilla pirates as 2 pirates on this ship, so you only need 2 to fire the cannons if you're playing with the vanillas. It's very interesting. Free playing a pirate when they set sail. Probably the scariest ship in the demo deck is the indisputable Ironclad, which just doubles all the power of pirates on the ship. So the interplay between the ships that hit the field, which kind of randomly come off the top of the deck, it's always different. It creates this puzzle where you're trying to maximize the value of the different pirates that you're playing, but also trying to not, make one ship too good of a target, because your opponent can just fire the cannons and blow up a ship really at any point in the game. And there's just a lot, like the TCG brain that loves the analysis and the puzzles and making good synergy plays. It is here in spades. Like, it's all over the place, but it's in such a simple package that's like super whimsical. And the art for this game just really hits. Famously, all of it was done in Apple Keynote, which is really weird. But like, it's got its own fresh, unique style. It's very humorous. Lobster tank, like, seriously, it's great. Yellow borders, a la old school Pokemon. It's great. This game's wonderful. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's got a sense of humor. The gameplay is so incredibly fresh and unique. And unlike this is the furthest possible thing from a Duel Masters clone. And it's fun. Like, it's like they took everything that's fun about playing cards and just put it on every card and then turn the volume to 11. So like, they're just, when you're playing cards, like coming from a TCG space, you're like, wow, that's broken. But everything's broken, and the games are chaotic, but they're not unbalanced and wild. Like, there's a flow to it. There's a logic to it. There's a lot of strategy and planning that you can do to maximize your outcomes. But it's in a very just fun package that really speaks to me. Something else that's just totally great about this game is that Super Pirate Industries on their Kickstarter allow you, and this is going to be in game stores when the game comes out, you can just buy a full playset and treat this like a living card game. So I think there's going to be something like 180 cards in the base set. You get 3 copies of each. You just get it all, and you just have this deck building paradise. The formats of how you play the game. Renegade, and I'll kind of shuffle this up to demonstrate how that works. Right, when you draw a card, you draw from a shared deck tavern. So the deck will sit off to the side of the game, and I'll just put it in the middle so there's no glare. And there are 5 cards that are on the field that are potential to draw at any point in time. And so when you have to draw a card, you get to pick, what's coming up. And maybe you're going to have to actually want to spend an action to draw a card that you don't want your opponent to have on the next turn. So there's a lot of cool interplay there. It's very, it feels kind of like limited because you're building on the building your hand on the fly, like almost like sealed. It's just a very cool system. The full version of the game, Armada, the constructed format, is a 3 treasure format. So you're doing the thing where you play the pirates and you're searching for treasure, but you have to get 2 out of the 3 to win. And between every time someone successfully claims the treasure, the board gets wiped, you get 3 new ships, and you keep your hand and continue to go. So there's a really good strategic, like, do you go all out for the first treasure, or do you kind of maintain your resources, right? The demo deck is enough cards for 2 players to play one game, or like to play an Armada game. And there's a ton of gameplay here. Like, they have included cards that affect every aspect of the rules of the game. You can cheat out pirates. You can do so at instant speed in reaction to kind of just mess with the math, or fire your cannons on your opponent's turn when they're not expecting it. You can steal your opponent's cannon catcher with Tricorn of Dawn so that they can't block you from firing the cannons, and you can block them. Like, there's just I mean, I'm just touching on the very, very basics. You know, putting a sponge barbarian on top of an indisputable ironclad to get 22 firepower out of a single pirate. It just feels incredibly powerful. Something I like about this game is it's not tuned around the numbers. Like, you know, these numbers, I mean, they're balanced, but like the numbers can get crazy. You can go from 15 firepower to 70 in one turn. And then the next turn, your opponent blows up that ship and you're down to 4. And that's just the normal flow of the game. It's very give and take. It's very bombastic. And like winning the game is more about finding the right moment to strike than it is about like min-maxing your firepower. You know, it's very bombastic in that way. And you know, it's been described as like a tennis match. It can kind of feel like tug of war or a game of catch. It's a totally different vibe than the slow resource build that we often get in the creature battler TCG thing. And that's not what this is. It's a totally different thing. I love this game because it's doing something totally fresh. I love this game because it is doing so in a way that respects players' time, energy, and finances. You can just buy the entire thing in a playset. Or if you want, you can buy booster packs and they have foils and alternate art and a really, really cool like mail-in treasure hunt thing with maps and alternate arts that I can't wait to do with my kids when it comes out. This game is, I've spent some time with the creators. I interviewed them here on the channel. I've interacted with them a ton in the Discord. They are wonderful people who really just want to make a fun game, and they have nailed it. Here Be Monsters is the freshest take on a trading card game I have seen, maybe ever. And I cannot wait until Kickstarter fulfills early next year. And in the meantime, there's so much juice in these demos. Like, these are the best intro products I have ever seen. I talked about, like, there's cards in here that kind of interact with every element of the rules. It's the perfect way to learn the game. It's not too complicated. It's not like weak. Like the deck is tuned. It feels good. It feels powerful. You can do lots of powerful things. But it's a great teaching tool. Like, you know, my young kids get this game who can barely play Pokemon, but they get it. They love it. They feel the energy of it, and they want to play all the time. So I highly recommend going to the Kickstarter, backing this game. They funded in 4 hours. I think they're pretty close to 300% funding. There's just a couple days left, and then they'll be fulfilling, several months after the Kickstarter closes. But in the meantime, you can get the demo deck from Team Covenant, and this can be just a great game to pull off the shelf from time to time and play with your family, play with your friends. It can slide into game groups that aren't TCG game groups pretty easily because of that Renegade format where people don't have to build decks. They don't really have to even show up knowing the game. After the second turn, they're going to know exactly what's going on and what they need to be doing. So yeah, get on it. This game is probably not going to be the biggest card game in the world. It's not going to compete with Magic, but it doesn't have to because they don't demand as much of you. It's just meant to be fun and silly, and it does all the things that you want a card game to do in a very different way, and I'm here for it. So I'm going to stop gushing. Final recommendation. Get the demo deck, make a custom box like I did, and if you want to, get a second one. Because with 2 demo decks, you can play a head-to-head mirror match of a full Armada game. You don't quite have full decks. In the full game, it's 50 card decks and 15 card ship decks. In the demo deck, you get 40 and 10. But just shuffle your graveyard in and start, into your deck when you run out of cards and keep playing, and you get that full experience. I literally have played dozens of games of Here Be Monsters. I'm not bored of it. My kids aren't bored of it. We've only seen a fraction of the cards that are coming with the set. They're spoiling new ones every day in the Discord, and I'm telling you, this game is going to be nuts. I can't wait. Thanks for watching. I was hoping to keep this video to 10 minutes, but when I find something I like, I talk about it. So Here Be Monsters is where it's at. Check out the Kickstarter. Swoop Cube out.